This martial law, Taiwan has been kept this martial law for more than 30 years. So people persecute and execution without the fair judgment.
A Foggy Tale is a critically acclaimed Taiwanese historical drama from director Chen Yu-hsun that explores the haunting legacy of Taiwan's White Terror era in the 1950s through an intimate and deeply human story. The film follows a young girl searching for answers after the execution of her brother, weaving together themes of political trauma and quiet resilience. Praised for its powerful performances, atmospheric cinematography, and authentic portrayal of post-war Taiwan, A Foggy Tale has already drawn international critical acclaim. I attended the Irish premiere of the film at Dublin's Savoy cinema on May 9th and afterwards sat down with Dr. George Hong, a Taiwanese academic resident in Ireland, to discuss the historical context behind the film, Taiwan's cultural identity, and why stories like this continue to resonate today. Hello and welcome to Perspectives with Nilo, where we go beyond the headlines to examine how history, foreign influence and competing narratives shape modern democracies. I'm your host, Neil O'Sullivan. If this is your first time joining us on the podcast, we have over 80 past episodes. Recently, we covered such topics as China's global pressure campaign to isolate Taiwan, the Chinese Communist Party's interference in Ireland, and an interview with one of the student leaders from the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests in Beijing. You can find these and all of our past episodes by searching for Perspectives with Nilo on your favourite podcast app or on our blog site at pwnilo.com. That's pwnilo.com. And while you're there, we'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe or follow button. It goes a long way in helping us grow, and thanks in advance for your support. Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has recently launched its Europe-Taiwan Cultural Year initiative, the aim of which is to introduce and share Taiwanese culture across Europe. There's an exciting calendar of events planned for the coming months, and we'll have more details on what's happening in Ireland before the end of this episode. On May 9th last, the Dublin School of Mandarin Chinese hosted the Irish premiere of the multi-award-winning Taiwanese film A Foggy Tale at Dublin's Savoy cinema.
你为什么叫做赵公道？
我跟你讲哦，我两乡人踢一个女儿，骂你个病，一直生不出儿子，巧你俩，终于生上我媳，我爹高兴的不得了。听说老天总算给他一个公道。
A Foggy Tale is directed by Chen Yu-hsun and is set in 1950s Taiwan. It follows a young girl searching for truth during the turbulent era of martial law, and while the title invokes images of a time when the future remained unclear, the film also reflects the warmth and humanity that endured amid social tension. I was fortunate to attend the Dublin premiere of A Foggy Tale, and afterwards I spoke with Dr. George Hong, who is a Taiwanese living in Ireland. We unpacked the history behind the film, including the meaning of White Terror, and discussed the struggle for Taiwanese identity and why Taiwan's past still echoes so strongly today. Okay, George, so we'll get right into it. So we just watched the movie A Foggy Tale. You know, it's a Taiwanese movie. It's won multiple awards and accolades, and it's been highly praised for its cinematography, acting, and many things, many attributes. Can you tell us just briefly maybe what it's about?
So, A Foggy Tale is a film about a true historical event. It's not based on a single story. It's based on a true historical event. It starts from the back to the 70 years back to nowadays, and it's White Terror history. At that time, the Taiwanese government implemented the martial law, then try to rescue and try to interrogate, to name someone whose Communist Party try to they claim this is to protect the country, but eventually it turns out it affects some people who are innocent, who just been named because they be under through the interrogation. They just been named by other people, then it just did not find the justice for them. So the Foggy Tale is based on this story, on this event, and tell the story. And also the unique part of this film is just based on from the perspective of the normal person who is not played a critical role at that time in their society. Based on this perspective of what this the leading actor, the protagonist, just been through, leading the audience, leading the viewers through into that part of Taiwanese history. This is a very touching story.
And when you say that part of Taiwanese history, we're talking about the 1950s or so, and a big time of change for Taiwan. A lot of the descriptions of the film say, there's a lot of mistrust in society, and people are living on a knife-edge existence.
So the atmosphere of the film, because at that time we need to back to the World War II, because after World War II, Taiwan used to be colonized by Japan. So after World War II, after Japan surrendered, so they took the China government took the Taiwan land back. At that time, all the people in Taiwan are very welcome about the China going to embrace the China to take over the Taiwan. But it turns out at that time that China, led by the Chiang Kai-shek, and his government is somehow corruption and bring lots of trouble back into Taiwan. Eventually cause a conflict. It starts back to more than 17 years ago, and it starts very conflict between the people from China and also the people original live in Taiwan. That caused a very huge conflict. But the Chiang Kai-shek, his government, and his all the servant work for the government. They serve the privilege because they moved to Taiwan, and they serve the privilege. They're thinking the people live in Taiwan just degrade to them. They don't serve the same right to them, so they have the right to persecute and interrogation, bring this on fear. And at that time, the Chiang Kai-shek, their government just claimed, we do all this just protect and avoid the Communist Party, protect the sovereignty of Taiwan, protect the rights of Taiwan. So they claim they're doing the right thing, but eventually the story just somehow tells us it's not actually for the right thing. So that is cause of fear.
One of the reviews I read about the film said that the language in the film switches between Mandarin and Taiwanese, and when people are talking together and they want to talk in private, they talk in Taiwanese, whereas the official language of, I suppose, Chiang Kai-shek's government and so on was Mandarin. That's interesting in how people maintain their privacy by switching to their own language.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, but also very unfortunate. Like my colleague, who is 10 years old senior than me, and he got the experience when he enrolled into a primary school. That time, the government forced everyone need to speak the national language, which is Mandarin. If they are speaking this Hokkien, which is delegate, which the language you mentioned about Taiwanese language, if they speak that kind of delegate in the school, and the school will punish them for paying the money, and even for the guy that mentioned experienced this just 10 years older than me, but they still experience this kind of things. So the government implements this national language as Mandarin, and just get down with other delegates, just bring down all the Chinese language. And another language is Hakka, which is another language in population in Taiwan. But also this language got effect as well, because they want to make the Mandarin as national language. So other language just they prohibit to speak in them, just similar to Irish. If you link back to the Irish situation, the Gaelic and English. So it's just
Actually, the same thing happened in Ireland when the British were invading here.
Yeah.
People spoke Irish to have privacy,
Yeah.
but they would be punished for doing that by the British forces.
That kind of punish and also need to pay for Christ's sake, the children just at the primary school need to pay the money, but just saying that it's somehow punishment.
But people still speak Taiwanese in Taiwan, and they speak the Hakka dialects as well, don't they?
Yeah, then now still this language still preserved, and now after the martial law was lifted, this kind of Mandarin as national language, this kind of compulsory rules are lifted. Is lifted, so there's no longer feel free to speak the Hakka and also the Hokkien. For me, I'm the generation my parents, my father is from speak the Hokkien, my mother was speaking the Hakka, but due to this effect, due to this single event, due to this effect, I only speak Mandarin very well. I can speak Hokkien. Not that great, because when I communicate with my grandparents, they always just tell me, "Stop! Your Hokkien is really lousy, terrible." There's no need to say when I'm going to speak the Hakka with my another grandparents. I never learned master to saying so. So that's called the consequence is just weaken the link and weaken the population who can speak this Hakka and Hokkien. But we try to preserve this language, and now we try our best effort. Yeah.
Going back to the films, there's some of the interesting characters in the film. I suppose the lead character is the young girl, Yue, is if I pronounce it correctly, and she's trying to find. She goes from Chiayi, which is in the south of Taiwan, to Taipei, to try and find her brother, who she thinks being executed.
Executed. Chiayi is actually not that south. It's just around the middle part of Taiwan. Yeah. So Yue, Ayu is just not like playing very critical role back to that time at the society. She just a young girl, and she just be notified that her brother got into the trouble, get to execute due to the this be claimed as linked with the Communist Party, but who knows, because it was not very firm persecution, and so the director using this lens, using from this perspective, and I believe that the actress played with Ayu, she's very talented actress, so she's playing this quite well. Yeah.
And also, what's interesting to me is she, in this search for her brother, she meets up with this rickshaw driver, yes, who is from Guangdong in China, but is somehow ended up in Taiwan. But he's very friendly to her and takes it on himself to help her in her mission, which was quite interesting. You mightn't expect. We might have thought, watching from afar, that why would a Chinese befriend a Taiwanese, given the environment at the time?
Well, I would say it's back to the humanity. So the driver tried to help Ayu is nothing related to he's coming from China or she's from Guangdong, etc. He just back to the humanity, nature, want to help the people each other out. And she also the driver experienced a lot, so he tried in his way to help the girl.
So you mentioned there white terror earlier. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What a phrase actually means in terms of what went on at the time in history?
So white terror means on the people on the white list, and then to be persecuted and someone be interrogated, and all back to the historic part when the World War II finished. Then Chiang Kai-shek government going to take over the China, but unfortunately there are internal war between the Communist Party and the government led by Chiang Kai-shek. So that's why the drivers he fled to Taiwan, because in the end, the Chiang Kai-shek, his government lost the battle, lost the war. So they just flee to Taiwan. Chiang Kai-shek say, okay, we now using Taiwan as the base, try to reinvade the China. So the Communist Party. So at the time, he wants to make everyone in Taiwan. There's already some trouble, there's some conflicts when the Chiang Kai-shek moved to Taiwan. So he imposed the martial law. Everyone and everything, every word need to be censorship. Every publication need to be reviewed. Every song, even some songs are prohibited to be sung at that time. So that's kind of white terror about just everything need to be censorship. This martial law kept being kept in this situation. Taiwan has been kept this martial law for more than 30 years. So people are integration and people are persecuted and execution without the fair judgments. Yeah.
I read that maybe 3,000 Taiwanese were executed and another 140,000 imprisoned. Pretty big numbers.
It's pretty big number, but we're not sure this number is accurate or not. Mm-hmm. That's a fact because it's never well figured with. It's never have a way we can affirm this number, confirm this number because it's already 50 years ago, and some people just disappear without no reason.
Is it still a very sensitive topic in Taiwanese society today? This discussing this whole time and what happened then.
This white terror is not the sense very. What should I say, sensitive. It's not, we cannot entirely discuss this topic, but whenever there's some debating issue, I would say, because if someone mentioned this word and someone just say, can we just let the history pass, then do nothing discuss with the way that just, a part of Taiwanese people just feel bored and feel there's nothing related to them, it's just already history part. But if we never look at the history in the right way, we can never manage this transitional justice in the correct method. And like as you said, the number we cannot confirm whether it's accurate or not. So this is not sensitive, but it's a debating issue. But we need to figure out the way, and the way to navigate through the transitional justice to reconcile. It's never the easy way. I would say for Taiwanese people, there's still a lot of way to go. I believe that's happened for the Irish people. I just read about the Irish people have the Irish problem. This kind of process still going on. So I reckon for Taiwanese, we just learn from other country. They will take time to be reconciled. Yeah.
So last time I'm in Taipei, I think it was at the Tiananmen Square Memorial event, or commemoration event around Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. There were a number of people there talking about transitional justice. So it seems like there are some groups who they try to fight for that. Yeah,
indeed, because if we look back to the history part, as I said, Taiwan is still very new to this progress of democratic country. This new to this transitional justice. Less than 30 years ago, less than 30 years ago, we vote our president by our own self. So there are part of the generation still persist. The past is right, and the past history is correct, rather than to want to seek whether this is wrong. They don't see the transitional justice is necessary. So it's ongoing issue, and it's just very new. We're still on the early stage to have this conversation, to have this process.
The film also, the title "Foggy Tale," and how fog obscures things. There's also people who say that this film is about, the challenges of Taiwanese identity. Back then there was a challenge, I suppose, and still today there's a challenge for Taiwan to be recognized in the world.
Yes.
Do you think the director is also trying to highlight that in the film?
Well, I think in the film, every director have their own embedded things want to tell the story through the film. But I think the White Foggy Tale main focus on that historic park of fog. We want to clear those of white terror as a fog. We will eventually wish this fog will clear our path to guide our way to Taiwan, to navigate, guide a clear way, clear path to moving toward normalization country, or the country being recognized around with other global partnership. Yeah.
So you were born in Taiwan yourself, is that correct?
Yeah, I was born in Taiwan and live in Taiwan 30 years. Yeah.
And so, if I may ask, how did you end up in Ireland?
Well, the job led me here. I finished my study in Australia, then I got a job here, so I moving to here, and stay in Ireland for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you work in the area of health research, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but evidence-based technology-enabled rehabilitation care, Inspire NRH, is your project. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What is it?
Well, it's basically I work at the NRH to enhance, advance the healthcare delivery at the hospital. So when we figure out other different approach to work with the clinician and also with the staff and also with researcher to improve the service delivery. This is the main project about.
Okay. And of course, people who pay attention to maybe world health news or indeed to Taiwan will know that Taiwan is regularly rated as #1 in public health care in the world. That's a quite impressive achievement for any country. Why do you think that is? Why is Taiwan so good at public health care?
Well, I was back to 30 or 20 years, Taiwan has implemented a policy called National Insurance Scheme. So every citizen in Taiwan under these schemes, and you pay a little bit you pay like 30 euros per month, but you are enrolled in this national health scheme. So whenever you visit a clinic in in hospital in Taiwan, you are covered by this scheme. So it will reduce the burden to pay the cost, particularly if you are survive with the cancer or some chronic disease. This national health scheme covered with your condition, and therefore you pay much less with. Reduce the burden. You pay the less money to get your medication, etc. But also, but at the same time, we are facing the challenges. There are some based on this national health scheme. How can we balance the money to pay with the clinician, especially the first line workers, and how can we also. We cannot always emphasize the treatment part, but how can we, starting from the prevent, because prevention can reduce a cost with the medical expenditure. So that's Taiwan need to work out with.
Okay. And so being in Ireland and observing our health care system here and coming from Taiwan, are there things you think Ireland could learn from Taiwan to improve the health system here?
Every country can learn something from other country. I see some strengths in Ireland and in the healthcare system, the well connection with the European network, and you got the well kind of referral system. There's something we can. I won't say that the Irish need to learn, but everyone we can learn from the Irish healthcare system as well. That is, if we can have this shared experience. For instance, we with the COVID, I believe when I mentioned the word COVID, it sounds like ages ago. But back to the COVID age, if we can share the knowledge to each other, it might improve the service of this care, and how can we prevent the spread of the virus during the COVID time. That's the thing. I think that's the thing we can learn from each other and to grow together.
I think Taiwan was very helpful to Ireland back then. They donated PPE and other things when there was a shortage. So I think Ireland is very grateful to Taiwan for that. But I also find out that when it comes to Taiwan's opportunity to share what it knows and what it has learned about healthcare with the world, it doesn't have a seat on the WHO or the WHA. It's not allowed. It's not allowed in to share or have a voice there. This seems like very wrong, and I'm sure it doesn't help Taiwan either in terms of getting support that it might need. But it also seems to be a disadvantage for the rest of the world to not be able to hear from Taiwan, given that it's the world's number one country when it comes to healthcare.
Well, the Taiwan we have this COVID policy and this response to the COVID when that time the coronavirus starting initiate this kind of pandemic. We have this response because we learned from the SARS, which is more ages ago. The SARS is SARS 1. SARS 1 is also SARS 1 is also disease, infectious and highly mortality rate disease. So we learn from the SARS, and so we develop a protocol to address how to respond this virus spread, and we learn from and we have this policy. So if we have this opportunity to join the WHO, we can share this on how the protocol we develop and how can we help the world together. So it would be benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there are probably a lot of other things as well. But I think, what would you say to people in other countries who might listen to this podcast as regards what can they do to make sure Taiwan's voice gets heard? Is there something we can do to speak up for Taiwan and make sure they get a voice at the WHO?
Well, I believe everyone Taiwanese is everywhere around the globe. So whoever listens this podcast in whatever country, you can get in touch with the Taiwanese communities in the local communities, and they are in every May and every month they try to facilitate more events to support Taiwan to join the WHO, WHA. They have some events. For instance, when I still in Melbourne, there are some campaign, and in Canberra they have the run or working to support Taiwan to join WHO. This kind of event they are promoting the Taiwanese community on social media. So I would encourage everyone, other people who listen to this podcast, would get in touch with this Taiwanese community. Yeah. Okay,
great. And maybe they'll find out about some good movies to see as well, like The Foggy Tale.
A Foggy Tale for sure. And another thing is, I just recommend if you're interested about this White Terror history, Taiwanese government have the Taiwan Plus online. They have a free film that is back to it's still with the same history on the White Terror, but from different perspective. The film is called Untold Her Story. So this film is free to watch I believe in Ireland because I check it. Yeah. So you can feel to watch on Taiwan Plus. And if you're also interested about the White Terror film, there's a film released 5 or 7 years ago, which is called Detention. It's also based on the White Terror history, but from the different perspective. Yeah, it would be interesting. And also, if you miss this opportunity, A Foggy Tale released today in Ireland, it will be released on the last week of May on Netflix. So if you're interested about this film, you can watch it again on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great to know, and thank you for sharing that other information. George, it's been great talking with you. Thank you very much for taking your time today.
Thank you for having me, Neil. Thank you.
That's Dr. George Hong, who is a postdoctoral research fellow at University College Dublin. My sincere thanks to George for taking the time to share his valuable insights with us on Perspectives with Nilo. A Foggy Tale is a beautifully made film whose narrative delves deep into the resilience of the human heart in the face of adversity. It highlights the human cost of political silence and the power of remembrance. It's definitely a must-see, and as George mentioned, it's available on Netflix from the end of May. We'd also like to let you know that as part of the Europe-Taiwan Cultural Year initiative, there are several events you can look forward to here in Ireland, which include an exhibition by Taiwanese artist Yuan Wen Wang entitled Fragments of Becoming. It is taking place at the Cork Firkin Crane Centre and runs until June 27th. There will be a Dragon Boat Festival event on June 20th in Greystones and a Taiwanese choir performance in August. There will also be a screening of the feature-length documentary A Chip Odyssey, the story of Taiwan's semiconductor industry, as part of Culture Night in September. We've placed links to all of these events on our blog at pwnilo.com if you'd like to find out more. And my sincere thanks to Evan Furlong from the Dublin School of Mandarin Chinese for sharing this information with us. We'd also like to let you know that the 79th World Health Assembly will open in Geneva, Switzerland on May 18th. And while Taiwan is not permitted to attend the proceedings, efforts continue to build international support for Taiwan's meaningful participation. Taiwan will hold its first ever Taiwan Smart Medical and Health Tech Expo in Geneva during the WHA, and you can find out more via the links in our blog. Our blog also contains links to our Perspectives with Nilo social media pages, our contact information, and all of our past episodes. So be sure to check it out at pwnilo.com. And don't forget to subscribe or follow us while you're there so you don't miss out on any future episodes. But that's where we leave it for now. Thank you for listening, and until the next time, Zai Tian.